All right, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really cool corner of mathematics where one of the most famous sequences in the world gets a seriously chaotic twist. It's all about how changing just one tiny rule can lead to these beautiful, totally unpredictable patterns. And believe it or not, it all starts with one single, kind of random-looking number.
So, take a look at this number, 26,404. Now, for the author who inspired this piece, this number was actually a personal milestone. It marked the day he'd been alive for that many days. But beyond that, it's hiding this really weird mathematical secret.
Right, so what's the big deal with this number? I mean, it's not just some random integer pulled out of a hat. It's actually a single point in a much larger and way stranger mathematical story.
Okay, so here it is. This number is what's known as a six-free Fibonacci number. Now, I know that probably sounds like total nonsense right now, but just stick with me. It's our doorway into this incredibly playful and kind of wild area of number theory.
So that brings us to our first big idea here. We're going to start with something you probably know, the Fibonacci sequence. But then we're going to add a very specific and very powerful twist to it. Okay, so first, a super quick refresher, just so we're all on the same page. The classic Fibonacci sequence, right? You just add the last two numbers to get the next one. It's this beautiful, orderly pattern that pops up all over the place in nature. But what happens when you start messing with the rules? Well, that's exactly what this brilliant mathematician, John Horton Conway, just loved to do. He didn't see these famous sequences as, like, sacred rules you couldn't touch. To him, they were playgrounds. He'd take the basic formula and just add his own little twist to see what would happen.
All right, so let's actually dig into how this twist works. Let's break down what this whole NF-free thing is all about.
Here's the core rule. It's pretty simple, actually. You start like a normal Fibonacci sequence, add the two previous numbers. But then, and this is the key part, you take that sum and you divide out the largest possible power of your chosen number n. Let's walk through an example. It'll make it way clearer.
Okay, let's make this real. We'll use the six-freeze sequence. So let's say our sequence is chugging along, and we get to the numbers 55 and 89. You add them up, you get 144. Now you might think, okay, 144, that divides by 6. But wait, it also divides by 6 squared, right? 36, and that's the biggest power of 6 that fits. So you take 144, you divide it by 36, and the next number in your sequence isn't 144, it's just 4. How wild is that? That one simple rule just completely changed the game.
So, this little twist, this one division step, it throws everything into the air. Instead of that nice, predictable, steady growth of the regular Fibonacci sequence, you get something way more chaotic, and it makes you wonder.
Does this rule always do the same thing? Like if we pick our n to be 2 or 3 or 4, do we get the same kind of pattern every time? You think so, right? But nope. The reality is way stranger.
Just take a look at this. It's kind of mind-blowing. If you use two free sequences, their fate is super simple. No matter where you start, they always fall into a nice, repeating cycle. But for free, it's the total opposite. Complete chaos. They look like they're just going to grow forever, never repeating, never settling down. Two completely different destinies from a tiny change in the rulebook. And honestly, it just gets weirder from there. So two free, they always settle down into a cycle. Predictable. But three free, we're pretty sure they always end up in a specific cycle, but get this, no one's actually been able to prove it yet. Four free sequences seem to just grow to infinity. And then there's five free, which is a total mixed bag. Some of them cycle and others just grow forever. There's just no one-size-fits-all rule here. It's a mess, but a beautiful one. So what's the big takeaway here? I mean, it's not really about memorizing what a four-free sequence does. It's all about the spirit behind it, right? This idea of playing around, of exploring and inventing in math. And really, that's the whole point. What people like John Conway show us is that math isn't just following a textbook and solving for X. It's about being creative, making up your own new rules, your own twists, just to see what kind of weirdness you can uncover. So, inspired by this whole idea, the author we're drawing from made up his own version. Instead of Fibonacci, he started with Tribonacci, so you sum the last three numbers, not two. And here was his twist. If the sum you get is a composite number, like, say, the number 10, which is 2 times 5, you don't use 10. You use its biggest prime factor. So in that case, you'd use 5 instead. So he let this sequence run. And what he found was pretty amazing. At first, the numbers just went crazy. They shot way, way up, creating this huge dramatic spike.
But then, just as fast as it went up, boom, the whole thing collapsed. The numbers just totally plummeted right back down. For a minute there, it just looked like random noise.
But then, out of all that chaos, something incredible happened. A pattern emerged. After about 255 steps, the sequence just locked in. It settled into this perfect, endless, repeating loop. He found this hidden order, this totally stable pattern from a rule he basically just made up for fun.
And that, I think, leaves us with a really cool final thought. This whole journey, it all started from one simple, playful question. What if we just change the rules of it? This is the heart of creativity in math. So that's the real question I want to leave you with. It's not just for mathematicians. It's for anybody. What kind of mathematical twist would you invent?